Hi everyone, I'm Abhishek Asawa and I have with me Mukesh Bansal. Of course, he needs no introduction.
Hi Abhishek, looking forward to this.
Yeah, looking forward as well, Mukesh. And today we are going to be talking about how enterprises should think about workflows that can be transformed by AI agents. Okay, Mukesh, so I've been thinking about the AI landscape. When we started Nurix, we've said LLMs will fundamentally change how enterprises work. The initial thesis was that sales and support are the initial areas where most of this will happen, and that's where most of the hype is around. So what do you think? Is that the only area where this will work out, or should enterprises be thinking on a broader scale?
I think with the rise of agentic AI, it is becoming quite clear that these are general purpose agents, and eventually they will be able to replicate pretty much any work that can be done in the enterprise. While today a lot of traction is on conversation use case, but there's so many other use cases that are already emerging for internal communication, research oriented use case, automation, a lot of backend processes. I think the right way to think about this is we have so many different people who engage in variety of functions within the companies. Eventually AI agents should be able to replicate pretty much any kind of work. It's just a matter of time, the level of sophistication required. There'll be a lot of use cases where agents will do some work and humans will have to fill in the blanks or do error correction, provide oversight and so on. But I think there's almost no job in the company, including that of CEO, that will eventually not be at the very least affected, if not replaced by what agents can do.
Got it. So you're saying the opportunities are endless, like whatever work humans are doing, eventually everything will get replaced. But let's say as a CEO, how do you think about it? How should one think of prioritizing which use case to pick up first and which use case to pick up kind of next?
I think first and foremost, whether it's a CEO, board or the leadership team, they have to recognize that with AI agents, you have this superpower in your hands. In the past, growth was always limited by the fact that whether we have open requisition, how many people we can hire, what is the budget and so on is going to be a difficult conversation.
Correct.
Every year in the AOP, whether you can hire 5 people, 10 or 20. How about there is no limit to how many people you can hire, 500,000, 5,000, which is exactly what AI agents enable.
That's a very good point, Mukesh. Like think of when any company wants to expand their sales, you get like millions of leads every month. And if you want to expand, you can't keep on hiring more and more humans. It gets very operationally difficult. You need to have some kind of flexible capacity which can help you kind of convert better. As well as like the companies we have spoken to, we have seen that the conversion rates vary a lot depending on when are you calling. Are you calling in the morning or in the evening? Evening gives much better rate. Are you calling on the same day versus next day? Like calling same day gives like 2x, 3x higher conversion rates. So to do all of that, you have to leverage AI agents, especially platforms like voice agents, which can give you disproportionate value and direct addition to the top line. And not just in terms of calling minutes or infra, but actual business outcomes that can be delivered.
No, absolutely, and hence in the last 6 to 9 months, we have really seen the outbound sales use case has taken off. Millions of leads, maybe luxury for companies. It's not that easy, but imagine that somehow you are able to get leads, whether millions or hundreds of thousands, and you don't have the bandwidth to reach out to all of them.
Correct.
That is an immediate solve that's available. You are able to reach out and have a really meaningful conversation.
One thing, Mukesh, which is happening right now in the space is, one is you can deploy, let's say when you're deploying agents, you can deploy, let's say 1,000 concurrent agents, and you can do 1,000,000 minutes of calling. So how should these companies who are, let's say, exploring these use cases or working with the new players in the space, how should they think of outcome-based kind of? So one is you can just charge X rupees per minute and kind of pay based on that, or one is like outcome-based, if you give me actual conversion, I will pay you on that. What's your take on that? Like,
my mind, I think it's very clear how should both the companies and the provider should think. If let's say today you run a call center of 100 people or 500 people, I'm pretty sure you know what is the total amount you're spending per month and what is the outcome you are able to see, and you will translate that into very clear metric, cost per lead.
Correct.
Or cost of acquisition. Everybody understand that. So I think that is a right metric to look at. AI agent may spend less time talking or more time talking, and it doesn't matter how many minutes you are spending per conversation or how much you are charging per minute. That is just an intermediate metric. What it matters is if today I'm spending, let's say 2,000 rupees for acquisition of a product that I'm selling for 15,000 rupees. If your AI agent can deliver same or better customer acquisition cost, then it really doesn't matter. So I very strongly believe that entire agentic world will shift towards charging for outcomes and not metering number of minutes dialed and so on, because that doesn't really matter unless you are able to deliver clear, tangible business impact. That's also great for both sides. If there is a measurable business impact, you can keep scaling it up and you can modulate that by ensuring that customer acquisition cost does not go up beyond a certain level, and that will just make it very seamless and transparent for both sides to scale up or scale down.
Incentives are clearly aligned between the provider and the companies actually, so that it's a win-win kind of relationship. Here, like, there's one kind of thinking, what does it take to build a great agent? Like, how does an agent deliver real business impact? There's this one line of thought that yes, you just have to write few English lines of prompt and that's how it will give you impact. But what's the reality? Like, is that all it takes, just a few lines of prompt, or there is something more which requires to kind of give real business impact?
Yeah, if that's all it took, world would be already running by AI agents, right? So clearly, I think it's very complex. The heart of it is how deep of a domain knowledge, and it's not generic domain knowledge, but domain knowledge in the context of that particular company, which only that company knows. We see it play out. If you look at any call center workforce, the top 10 percentile of agents outperform the remaining 95% by a long shot. They could be 2x, 5x, even 10x more productive. So that Pareto always plays out. So part of building great agent is how do you parse that Pareto? How do you understand what does it take for the top 10 percentile? What is, how do they start the conversation? Are there key phrases they go to? How do they customize their response based on who is at the other line? How good are their listening skills? On top of that, the quality of integrations. If an agent is able to pull up relevant information instantly, customer really impressed that agent already knows what order I'm calling about, or already knows that my order is 4 days delayed, or knows that over last 12 months I've purchased this particular type of product 6 times, and they're able to seamlessly bake into the conversation. They understand the weather in my city and so on. So I think building all these integrations and then designing the whole reasoning around agents so that you are able to factor in relevant information for high quality conversation. And then of course all the infra issues, latency issues, you don't want to be on hold for a long period of time, you don't want agent to say something irrelevant or interrupt you, without turn and so on. So all these are a lot of nuanced aspects of building a high quality production ready agent.
So essentially what you're saying is you require something like a deep consulting work, something like what McKinsey does to really understand the workflow, what will really give business value, when to call, how to talk with the user. And second is a deep experience in the platform side of things to provide stable, scalable capacity which can actually perform at scale in 5 nines, what you mentioned. So combination of both is what can really deliver business value versus just saying, okay, you have some infra, now just call and let's hope that.
Yeah, absolutely. Mindset wise, I think every single deployment boils down to some combination of what McKinsey would do and what Infosys will do. Correct. To understand the business process. There is significant business process transformation also involved. I think one of the misnomer people have, I already have the SOP documented. I give the SOP to some kind of agentic software, and voila, I have my agent. But in truth, the way agents will do work is very different. So you have to reimagine the future, what kind of future business process you want. So the re-engineering part is very important. Otherwise, you are just replicating the way things were done. You are not figuring out a lot more efficient, elevated level of execution. And then of course, you need Infosys type of capability to be able to stitch your agent together, test it again and again, put together all the evaluation guidelines, and also ongoing monitoring. Just because your agent is performing well today does not mean it will continue to perform the same level 1 month from now, 2 months from now. So there is a whole aspect of continuous learning and upgrade which the agentic world will require.
That's a great one. I think even with some of the clients that we have been working with, we have seen that what is written in SOPs is very different than what some of the top agents perform. The way they talk to customers, the script they use, the objection handling that they do is so much different than what is just written in the scripts. It's not as if they just maintain one thing. They are very agile, they are very smart, so they can keep on continuously learning and changing how and what they do.
Yeah.
And you're saying essentially that needs to be baked into how agents are built out. So it's not one-time build and just, okay, this is done, now you can just operate it on autopilot. Essentially, you build something and then keep on iterating it so that as the business conditions change, as the people you're talking to changes, the agent also keeps on improving and always keeps on performing like the top percentile human agent will do.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. It's almost like how you take care of human employees, right? You don't just hire them and let them lose, right? You have to continuously manage them. AI agents come without ego, so that's the easy part. But their skills, knowledge, context obviously needs to be upgraded.
And they can work 24 hours. So you always get business value.